Welcome to this first video in a set of 4. Over these next 4 videos I'm going to demonstrate how to create a list within SharePoint 2010, how to draw a SharePoint workflow in Visio 2010, how to then export that Visio diagram and then import it into SharePoint Designer. I will then show you how to configure the workflow in SharePoint Designer before finally uploading it back to our SharePoint 2010 site and then demoing the working workflow. The workflow example we are going to use today is a very simplified expenses workflow. In this workflow we will have a list where users will enter details about their expenses. The workflow will then check the value of the expense. If the expense is below £100, the expense will be sent for approval automatically. However, if the expense value is over £100, the user will be requested to fill in additional information about their expense. This will then be sent on to the approver, who can look at the extra information and decide whether or not. Part 1. Creating our list in SharePoint 2010. This is SharePoint 2010. As you can see, it looks different to SharePoint 2007. We do still have the quick launch on this side and the top link bar across the top of the page. However, things like the Site Actions button have moved over to the left hand side of the screen. To create something within SharePoint, whether it be a list, library or site, we click on the Site Actions button. This will reveal a menu. Some of the create options we have available from this menu are create a new page, document library or site. However, in this example we want to create a list, so we're going to click on the More Options button. This brings us to this screen here where we have a list of all the different lists and libraries and page types we can create within SharePoint 2010. We want to create a custom list, so we're going to click on the link for Custom List. We're brought to a screen where we name and describe our list. I'm going to call mine Expenses. I'm going to select Yes to displaying my list on the quick launch. Once I've filled in the details, I press Create. I now have my blank list. We have only one column, the title column. I want to now add additional columns to record my data from my users. You'll notice at the top of the screen here we have what's referred to in Microsoft parlance as the ribbon. Microsoft have streamlined the look and feel of their SharePoint and Office suites of products by bringing the ribbon to all areas of these products. It is this ribbon we will be working from to add our columns to our list. To create a column in SharePoint 2010, we click on the Create Column button from the ribbon. This takes us to this screen here. As you can see, the details we fill in this screen are very similar to the options we had in 2007. We're going to call our first column Date. So we want to find out the date of when our users accrued the expense. I will choose the date and time, column type from my options available. I'm going to say no to require this column contains information and 4 unique values, no, date and time format, date only, default value, none. I'll then click OK. As we can see, my column has been created and I now have a date column. The final column I'm going to create in this example is a value column to record the value of my expense. Again, I'll click on the Create Column button from the ribbon, and from this screen I will enter in as the column name expense value. I will choose the currency column type as I am recording a currency value. Under my additional options down here, I'm going to check the box. I'm going to select United Kingdom pounds. I'll then press OK. You can see now I have my three columns: title, date and expense value. I will click the Add New Item button to add a new item to my list. You can see the form has appeared, allowing me to put in my expenses detail. So I will fill in my title of my expense, hotel, the date I accrued my expense, which was Monday the 7th, and my expenses value was £55. I then click Save. We can see my expense has been entered. This is the end of the first video in this series of 4. In the next video, I'm going to create a visual representation of my workflow in Visio.